Welcome back to AreCyber. I'm Mike Redmond. This is the channel dedicated to helping you get through those cybersecurity exams that you need to get to the next level. If you're new here, this is how it works. Every week, I take requests from the comments below, and that decides the next week's videos. Today's topic, how to pass the CISSP. When it comes to passing the CISSP, or really any standardized exam, all you have to do is know the rules of the game. Once you know the rules of the game, you can begin using them against it. It all starts with understanding everything is based on the C, the I, and the A. When you get stuck, that's the first question to ask yourself. Is this a C, an I, or an A question? Next, you divide and conquer. The goal is to be able to eliminate at least two possible answers. That gets you down to a 50-50 shot. You've turned it into a true-false test. It's simply subgrouping or supergrouping. A and B work and C and D work, or A, B, and C all fit together and D is the odd man out. Once you find your subgrouping and supergrouping, you have the answer. Next, if you run into an answer that you've never heard of, get rid of it. It's probably a distractor. It's there intentionally to get you thinking in the wrong direction. Next, figure out whether they're asking you for a definition or an example. An example is how you do something, whereas the definition is what you're doing or what it means. Next, and I can't stress this enough, do not do math in your head. There's only a couple questions that you're going to have to do a math problem, but they're deceptively easy. If you try to do them in your head, you'll make a mistake, you'll not move the decimal point, then all of a sudden 1,500 turns into 15,000. You don't get extra points for being able to do the math in your head. Next, when in doubt, you always apply the golden rule. It's always people safety first. It's always preservation of human life. Continuing on, and this is where most of my students have the hardest amount of time because you've been taught holistically wrong throughout your educational careers. If you remember back to every test you've ever taken, they all had pretty much the same directions. Right after writing your name in the top left corner, it was find the correct answer. Well, that's just too hard. It's a lot easier to find something that doesn't belong than something that does. So when you're looking for the correct answer, find the incorrect answers first. Next, remember, policy is key. Everything we do has a policy attached to it. So when in doubt, choose the reasonable answer with a policy in it. That will usually bring you to the big umbrella. Choose the answer that covers the other one. Which is bigger, for instance, analyzing the business or the business impact analysis? Next, don't look for the in-depth answer. That's not what the CISSP is about. It is all about a mile wide and an inch deep. If you find yourself saying, this is what we do at work, you've gone too far. Next, as soon as the proctor gives you permission to begin, write down everything that you've memorized. Do a brain dump right there next to you. Get it out of your head. So now, later in the exam, when you need it, it's sitting right there and you don't have to try to recall it under a stressful exam situation. And that brings us to the power hour. Anyone that knows me knows I believe in numbers and I believe in science. And the basic science is this. The human brain is capable of recalling or learning information for approximately 30 to 45 minutes at a time. So the hour before you get to the testing site, sit in your car, go through all of your notes. Don't study them, don't read them, just scan through those pages. Take a mental snapshot. The rules of the test say that you cannot bring study materials into the exam. It doesn't say you can't take a mental snapshot. And then when you get stuck on a question, close your eyes. You'd be surprised. Those pages will start to appear. So it's been observed that the air conditioning in your data center is beginning to malfunction. You've contacted the vendor and they've advised that they'll be able to get to it in about an hour. What should you do? A, power down the complete system and all of the peripheral devices. B, do nothing until the vendor maintenance staff arrives. Or C, power down only the peripheral devices. Or D, follow the business continuity plan procedures. If you selected D, that is absolutely correct. That is why we have the plan. Why have a plan if you're not going to follow it? So remember Occam's razor. Sometimes the simplest answer is the best answer. Avoid making a value judgment. If an answer is only true some of the time, you are on the wrong answer. Next, one of the catch-alls, especially within the CISSP, is you must have management buy-in. Management always has the final authority whenever it comes to anything within the organization. Remember, like I said, we're trying to get to a 50-50 possibility. If you can eliminate one of the four, well, yes, you've bettered your chances from 25% to 33%. And then eliminating two gets you down to 50%, and now you've turned it into a true-false test. How awesome would it have been if every test we've ever taken was a true-false test? When answering negative statements, turn it around. Make it a true statement or make it a positive statement. The human brain doesn't process negative statements very well. So when you see a which answer is not type of question, turn it around and say, well, which answer is? Then when you find your odd man out, you found the correct answer. That brings us to a tricky one. When a question asks for best or worst or most or least, remember there can be more than one possible answer, but there's only going to be one best answer or one most answer. Next, remember time is not your enemy. Fatigue is. It's important to take breaks about every hour or so. The CISSP tests concepts, standards, and practices, not exceptions to rules. Remember, every question is going to be based on an international standard. So answering a question with, well, the way we do it at work would not most likely be a correct answer on the CISSP exam. Tell you what, let's try one more question. Of the choices below, which best describes a reason for business continuity management project failure? A, timeliness not being adhered to and unwise use of resources. B, timeliness not being adhered to and incorrect staff assignment to assist in the project. C, lack of program management and unwise use of resources. Or D, lack of program management and incorrect staff assigned to assist in the project. If you answered C, you were correct. Remember, read the statement for what the statement is asking. The statement is asking, for instance, which best describes the reason. Well, which best describes the reason for what? Well, we have to figure out what that reason is, and it indicates, or at least it wants us to think, that it's business continuity management, when in fact, it's truly what they're asking is why the project failed. Remember, projects fail for really one key reason. It's a lack of overall project management and a poor utilization of resources, regardless whether it's an IT project or you're building a skyscraper. Well, that's going to do it. Keep these in mind and you will pass the CISSP on the first try. Remember, we are a community-driven channel. Leave your requests in the comments below, and each week I select from those to do the next week's videos. If you like what you see here, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. As always, visualize success and you will succeed. I'll see you next time.